So Dr. Wolf recently did a video where he talked about the news or the more information that we got for Generation 5's movie coming to Netflix through this annual magazine that came out. And the more information that we ended up getting seemingly gives us an idea of how far into the future G5 takes place. Now, G4 has established that, thousands of years passed, since, Celestia and Luna, was starting the co-ruling, I should say. They started the co-ruling over Equestria before, of course, dissension, led to Luna being Nightmare Moon and her being banished, and then, of course, 1,000 years later, coming back and then being pretty much restored and redeemed, throughout several seasons, thanks to Twilight and her friends, and in a way, through sibling budding and rivalry with her sister Celestia. So we know that, that happened. We know that occurred. That Celestia, during the early days of the thousands of years, co-ruled along with Luna, and then, like I said, because of what happened, ruled on her own. Sister was brought back, restored, and then throughout the series was fully redeemed, thanks to not just her sibling rivalry and budding that she still had with Celestia, and them getting through those emotions, but also thanks to Twilight and her friends. So we know that 1,000 years, has, 1,000 years passed throughout that timeline. And it was even established in the horseplay episode of season 8, where, Twilight wanted to celebrate, Celestia's 1,101 day of raising the sun, or 1,101 year, I should say, of raising the sun, with a play. She wanted to thank her for that. She wanted to show her appreciation to her with that. So we know it's been over 1,000 years. And in the magazine, it's established that this Equestria in Generation 4 in Friendship is Magic is basically being dubbed Ancient Equestria. It's being dubbed Ancient Equestria, which really brings into context, how far that is into the future, seeing as though what's being known as Ancient Equestria, that being Friendship is Magic, had somewhat of a hybrid of magic and science and, science and technology. You know what I'm saying? Or magic and sorcery and science and technology. It was a hybrid. It was a hubbage, or whatever it's called, whatever that word is. It was an amalgamation. I'll put it that way. It was an amalgamation of all these different, ancient and modern, archetypes. So we know that. So to me, when I read that, when I hear about, that Equestria, Friendship is Magic Equestria, being looked at as Ancient Equestria, I can only assume that more than 1,000 years have passed. Yeah, I can assume that more than 1,000 years has passed. Why? Because we're right back where we started. That was, pretty much, foretold in the first season. I think it was the first season or second season episode of, called Hearts Warming, if you will, where they did that play telling about the origins of how Equestria came to be, under the uniting of all pony races. So we know that, that separation of the pony races had, happened in the past, and, to them being brought together and, to create Equestria into what it is, had occurred. And we know that in a way, history was about to repeat itself, basically in the two-part finale, or in the finale basically for the series, the ending of the end, if you will. So we know it's been established. We know that it's been established that pony races, through various times of Equestria's history, can be very distrusting of each other and want to go off and, create their own colonies and kingdoms and we see that here with Generation 5, because apparently in the Pegasus Kingdom, we have Pip and Zip as royal sisters. You know, we have royalty in the Pegasus Kingdom. In Cloudsdale, I would assume. Or the Kingdom of Cloudsdale, as it's probably going to be known. But it does raise the question. Are the other pony races, do the other pony races, I should say, do they have their own kingdoms? Do the Earth ponies have royalty? Do the unicorns have royalty? Just like back in the ancient days. Has that all been, reestablished for a more modern setting to where history is going to be repeated? And, well, as we pretty much already know, is going to happen, and they don't have to tell us or hint at it. We pretty much know that the reuniting is going to occur. But, listening to what Dr. Wolf had to say about this, reading what's in the annual magazine just by the screen grabs and everything of the magazine, it makes you kind of wonder of exactly how far into the future, time-wise, since both are set in the same worlds, both are set somewhat, if not indefinitely, in the same continuity. You have to wonder how far into the future, if you will, G5 takes place. For pretty much the pony races to go from being peacefully together to being like, hey, I don't trust you anymore. We don't trust you guys anymore. We're going to go do our own thing, kind of deal. It has to make you wonder. It has to make you wonder what it's going to essentially take for history to be repeated and the uniting of these races to happen under one rule. We don't know, but I can assume that more than 1,000 years have taken place. More than 1,000 years has taken place. Basically, it's gone by, if you will. More than 1,000 years has gone by. And, there's an old saying that a lot can happen in a certain amount of time, even under the watch of a certain chosen one known as Twilight Sparkle. So we're going to see. So honestly, I think as we get closer to the movie's release, we're going to get more of an answer as to, exactly what happened. I think as the closer we get to the movie's release, we'll get more of an answer of what happened, what caused the separation. And I think, believe it or not, Sunny might be our key character, and she might be the main key, but she's not going to be the key to bringing all the races back together. Her and her friends might be, together might be the answer, but only one of them could be the key. And it seems the character that's getting the most merchandise right now, believe it or not, getting the most merchandise, I should say, right now, believe it or not, I think it's going to be Pip Petals. I think Princess Pip Petals is going to be the key, not just one of the keys like Sunny is, but the key to helping bringing all the races together in the movie, if not the series. But what do you guys think? How long do you think it has been time-wise for Friendship is Magic Equestria to be dubbed as Ancient Equestria? How long in the future do you think it's been? Let me know down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. I know I sound like I rambled a little bit. It's still early. It's about 9:05 a.m. Pacific time on this Monday, June 28th. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment if you like. And I am out. You all have a good day.